So I just logged in, so you could again log in with whatever you would like. And after logging in, it has this option that it's showing us. So it's telling us, should I create a new project or select a project to use? We're gonna be creating a new project, and the project name is gonna be Gym Company Portfolio. And it is asking us to use the default dataset configuration, so we're gonna be yes. And right now it is asking us where the project output path we want, and that is the one we want. We just want to make sure that we select a clean project with no predefined schemas, because we want a blank project. And as you can see right now, we have the backend folder installing, and we can just rename this to backend after it is installing. So I'm just gonna clear the front end, and I'm just gonna cd into the front end. Okay, cd into front end, cd, oh yeah, I called it gym front end, and yep. So to start the front end server, all you really need to do is just yarn start. And if that doesn't work, you could do yarn dev. So I'm just gonna give it a moment while it is starting, and I'm gonna close all of these. Let's just keep the Chromium. While the packages are just installing, okay? I'm just gonna give it a few more moments. And if you're fresh here, you're gonna find out that right now I'm using a different sanity account, so it's not gonna show up here, but that is fine. So I'm just waiting for it to end, okay? And if you just go into localhost 3000, here it is, our front end right now. It is empty right now. We still have the basic React application template, as you can see. Let me just put this to the side. There it is. And right now we also have our backend initialized. So we're just gonna cd into our backend, which over here right now it is called Gym Company Portfolio. I'm just gonna change that into backend, and let's also change this into just front end, which is just simpler. And we could just keep this as it is, actually. All right. So why is that happening? That is fine. Maybe because just we changed the file name, which is fine. So we are just gonna do yarn start again. Keep the file name as it is, gym front end, and we're just gonna cd into our back end and do yarn start. If that doesn't work, you can also use sanity start. So we're just compiling that. And I'm just currently waiting for the backend to compile. Just give me a few more moments. So here it is. If we go to local host 333 and just log in, here it is. As you can see right now, we have a empty admin panel that is a gym company portfolio, and we're going to be starting adding in content. All right, so we could just minimize this terminal tool over here and keep these project files on the side. All right, so let's start by creating the front end structure. So in our front end structure, just go into our source folder, create a new folder, call it components, and okay. So it is not giving us permissions, so that is fine. cd out of it, like I showed you at the beginning of the video for Linux users, recursively, chmod recursively 777, and then the folder name. Okay, let's also do the same thing for the back end. And as you can see, it's even rebuilding the bundle. So we're going to cd back into our front end, which is called gym front end. So cd gym front end, and then yarn start again. So if we create a new folder right now, that is going to work. So again, components. Afterwards, we're going to be creating pages, and afterwards we're going to be creating sections. All right, in the components, we're going to be creating a new folder. All right, and inside that new folder, we're going to call it membership cards. Another new folder, and we're going to call it nav. Another new folder. And actually, let's create just the files itself. So membership cards dot JSX, and that is also for the navigation bar. So nav dot JSX, and also create a super style sheet file. So membership cards dot super style sheets, and nav dot super style sheets. Okay. So actually, for us to use super style sheets, we need to just install it, but I'm gonna keep that at the end. So let's continue installing the components. We're also gonna create another folder, call it footer. Create a new footer.jsx file and footer.superstylesheets. Okay. Also, I need you to install an extension in Visual Studio Code that is called ES7 React Redux Native Snippets, and that is basically going to allow us to do this. So if we go RFC in our footer, we're going to be able to do a React arrow functional component very fast. So RFCE into all our components. All right, and I just did Control A, Control S, and Control W to close all these tabs. Okay, so let's continue. Afterwards, I have the nav dots. All right, again, nav dots.jsx, nav dots.superstylesheets, and this is going to be a button navigation that is going to help us scroll through the section, which actually we do not need, but for now let's keep it. classes cards, which is going to hold all our classes cards. So classes cards dot JSX classes cards dot super style sheets. Afterwards, we're going to be creating a contact form and call it contact form dot JSX and contact form dot super style sheets. And we're almost done. We have two more components. That is going to be video BG, and that is going to be video BG dot JSX, video BG dot super style sheets. Also, again, do RFCE in all the components. RFCE. So what else? Yep, the nav dots, RFCE. And yep, so Control A, Control S, and then format the document, and then Control AW. So right now we have all our components installed. We have one last component actually, that is going to be the social media. That is going to hold all our social media icons. So social media.jsx, RFCE, and social media.super sheets. Okay, so we can import those style sheets, by the way, for each file, but that is not necessary for now. We could do that when we get to each file. But again, just make sure to have all of these super style sheets mentioned in their according files. So that is pretty much it in terms of the components. In terms of pages, we are going to have actually just 4 pages, and sections we're going to have 2 sections. Why? Because in terms of our pages, our home is going to hold up a home page, and also is going to hold up the about section. So we're going to basically be able to scroll to the about section in the home section using the navigation bar, and then go to the other pages using also the navigation bar. So don't worry, I'm just explaining everything, and let's continue. All right, so in pages, we're just going to do home.jsx as well, JSX, and also home.superstarsheets. Make sure that they're in their correct directories, and another folder that is going to be contact. Okay, and also in the contact, we're going to have a contact.jsx, RFCE, and also RFCE here. So contact.superstylesheets. And like I said, we also want a membership. Okay, and also we could do classes. All right, so we're just gonna create the files for them: classics.jsx, classes.superstylesheets, RFCE. All right, and just in the membership, also the same thing: membership.jsx and membership index.superstylesheets. Alrighty, so one last thing is going to be the sections, and like I said, we're going to have two sections, and that is going to be the home section, so we can just call it home sec, and another folder is going to be called about section, because these are going to be in the home page at the end of the day. So that is why we have a sections folder, a pages folder, and a components folder. So about sec.jsx rfce. We're also going to do the home sec.jsx rfce, control A and S everything, and control W. And that is it in terms of the sections as well. But in each folder, we're going to create a new file, and we're going to call it index.js. And this is basically going to help us organize our exports. Okay, so I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to leave it up later. But I'm just continuing on with the project structure. Okay. We also want a client.js, which is going to connect our back end to our front end. Okay, just make sure that is in the source folder here. Just right outside that, actually. Okay, what else? Yep, in the source folder. Alright, so let's create the index files that we want, and also we're going to be creating the back end afterwards. Okay, so just bear with me. Create a new file, call it index.js, and do export. Okay, default as classes from, could just get the classes and then classes. Yep, and then we could alt shift and arrow key downwards. That usually works, but since I'm on Linux, just the keyboard layout is switched, so I'm just going to copy and paste this 4 more times, and that is going to be membership, of course, as well from membership, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to do that, membership, and then home, and a lot of people are going to be asking, why am I doing this? I am doing this basically because when we are getting these components or pages or whatever React component we're going to be using, I don't want our project to be non-organized. So instead of like having a lot of imports over here, like having like this, for example, you know what I mean? If you don't, then you just saw an example. We don't want this to happen. So instead we could just, let me show you, import home classes, membership, and we could just basically use these pages from pages and then the index. So as you can see right now, we could use these components. What else? Contact. Okay, let's remove these actually from the app, this old code, and let's just check out our front end right now. We just want to do yarn start again, and we're just gonna put in the components over here. Okay, so home, and then classes, and then membership, and then contact. All right. So imported as contact was not found. Okay, that is fine. So export. Okay, so we just have a simple typo over here. Contact was not found in contact. Okay, so what seems to be the issue? Alright, so it does not have an export default over here. That is fine. So export default and then contact. And that is why we had this error, right? So if you go back into our app.js, save that. Right now we're not going to see anything, but we're actually supposed to see the pages itself. So right now that is a little bit weird, but that is fine. We're just going to control A over W everything. Go back to our app.js. Let me just write anything over here just to test. Okay. So why is it not showing anything? Okay. We could just actually remove these and just add in some empty fragments. Anyways, we're not going to be using the structure. Okay. We are actually Alright, so basically it's just telling us that there are some components over here that are probably not exported correctly. So yeah, we don't have membership, so we just need to do our FCE. And here it is. So that is the basic pages that we're gonna have. And actually to set up our pages, we are gonna be installing something called Yarn React Routing, but I'm gonna do a section for that. Let's continue, right? So we have the sections, we have the components. So I'm not gonna do that all over again. I just did in the pages, but for you guys, I'm gonna do it because I just want to make sure everything is correct. So we're just gonna export everything from here as well. Classes cards. You could just rename it and just copy and paste like I'm doing right now, instead of just wasting time. Order. There's even a better shortcut for this, by the way, you guys. I just right now I'm not able to remember it, to be honest. So I'm just gonna continue on copying and pasting, and we're just gonna do this. Wait. 2 more times, and we're gonna be continuing on from the nav. All right, nav dos. And again, you guys, this is gonna help us a lot later on, because we do not have to import everything on its own from the component itself. We have it in an index.js, so our components are organized. Social media. Again, you could just skip this part if you want to. Well, I'm just copying and paste this. You could do this on your own. I think you got the concept right now. Export default as contact form. So what is the issue here? Contact form has been okay. So yeah, social medias already. So yeah, the one last thing is video background, and video background. So we're done. All the components right now are in our index.js, and that is it pretty much for the front end project structure. Let's go into our back end. And in our back end, we already have a schema.js. We're just going to create 2 new files, and we're going to call it about.js. Also, membership.js. Also, one last file that is going to be classes.js. All right, so Control A, Control S, all everything, so that you save it. And that is it pretty much for the front end and the back end in terms of the project setup. All right, so in the next section, we're gonna be starting doing the front end, and afterwards, we're gonna be going to the about section and connecting the back end. Okay, so see you guys in section 3.